how do you bring something to life if you have a vision that's bigger than you can create?
You're
It's
this is what
it's
I've wondered.
wild,
This is
but
what I've
it really
wondered.
struck a chord with me because I'm in these like installations and they're like the size of a football field and they're beautiful and they just take you like out of this world. They're just like you're just somewhere else. And that's a thing. That's the kind of art that I am interested in and that I would love to do with my landscapes.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that I can't be so foolish and knuckleheaded and think that I can just do everything myself because I'm just like that's kind of what I've done. I'll do it myself. I've done it like that's how I kind of got into entrepreneurship and how it's always kind of been. But as you build the team, you got to learn to trust and you got to let go. And you
Mm.
could talk to my team right now. They'd probably laugh if they heard this. They'd probably say, "Oh, he hasn't learned to let go." But I swear I have, at least a little bit. Like it's a thing.
Like
Like
they
it's
don't know
hard and it takes
internally.
time
Yeah.
and it's but you know that realization of like a vision that is beyond what you physically could do.
So feel me when I bring it, sing it loud. I'm from the loot and I'm proud. Run a mile for the cause. I'm right.
Hi guys, it's your girl Nafama, your favorite Jew from the Lou. Welcome back to my podcast. And today I am so excited to have Gabe Keeven with us. Welcome.
Hello.
So we met back in my barista days, which was not too long ago. You walked into the coffee shop that I was working at the time, and I just love getting to know people and hearing their stories. And especially once I heard that you were an entrepreneur, I was like, oh, I have to pick your brain. But like I was saying just before we officially started recording, that like you're so radically chill, at least on the outside, that I was so intrigued because so many of the entrepreneurs, especially online, are all about like hustle and grind, and it is a lot of hard work.
Sure.
Everyone knows that. But like I think it's really important to find some sort of work-life balance. And it seems like you've somewhat kind of found some balance for you, especially with like travel and all the things that you love to do.
Mm-hmm.
So to start, let's first talk about your business and what
Hmm.
you do if you want to introduce.
Sure. So my business right now,
Mhm.
because I've had a lot,
Yeah,
but what I'm focused on right now, and I don't see myself changing anytime soon. I've been doing this like full time for 8 years. I'm running W-2s, having full-time employees,
nice.
um, really taking the business out of just a sole proprietorship into like a true enterprise or whatever you want to call it at that point. I'm still a sole proprietor, still LLC, but you know, the mindset's different.
Yeah,
So nobody's 1099 or the 1099s that I work with are really, they don't work for me. You know, a lot of people want to run 1099s, but they're actually still actually true employees. But because payroll is scary, like it's a whole nother thing, it's a whole
for
level.
sure.
So to answer your question, SLF Landscaping and Design LLC is the name of it. We're technically we're a design and install business, and we offer maintenance as well.
Okay,
I
great.
market myself as a full service company, everything from plantings, which is kind of where I started. We do a lot of native plantings. We work with the MSD Rainscaping Grant and the Deer Creek Watershed Alliance Grant program. So we do some stuff that's very permaculture based.
Mm.
But we also offer normal ornamental type plantings. We work and do walls and patios. We do lighting. We do irrigation. Um, we have a small mowing route. We're a full service company. Generally, if we're going to do maintenance for you, we're going to do all of your maintenance.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
like pretty much anything that's outside, we take care of it for you.
Yeah.
Design and install is my favorite. That's kind of my niche that I really like. The creativity that's brought into play with through that is really intriguing and kind of keeps it fresh. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. So diving backwards then,
Yeah,
because I remember in our pregame you said that you come from a family of entrepreneurs
I do.
and you also have, like you were just saying, have done a few different businesses. So
Hmm.
like, what was that like growing up as a kid in an entrepreneur family?
It's a good question. So my parents are photographers.
Oh,
They
cool.
did commercial advertising. They both went to art school and got their degrees in photography. Then they met through maybe one of their first or second jobs. They decided to start doing it on their own.
Nice.
And so dad really he was the photographer mostly, running the camera, doing the sets. He would build sets in our house. We actually had an old church that the front half, they renovated it. It's down in Benton Park. The church part had all the pews taken out, big ceilings, so they could build sets in there. So
Yeah.
it looked like there was a bathroom that he was taking a picture of, but really it's inside of this church.
That's so
Yeah,
sick.
so he's building sets on the nightly. Mom's running
Yeah.
all the like paperwork and bids, and like she's doing the prop shopping. So she's going out to all the different places around town and getting this kind of bath towel and this kind of
So
decoration.
fun.
Like so like they all had their little weird parts.
Yes.
And they all have this creativity built in. Mom's a wonderful photographer also. Like she loves shooting behind the camera as well. That was kind of their roles at the time. Um, and so yeah, I would come home from school and they would be in the middle of a photo shoot
So cool.
and they would be doing all kinds of different things.
And I'm sure they took you along.
I mean, I got to go into their into the room where
Yeah.
the set was set up. I think the best part was, like they would buy lunch for their clients every day, and I'd come home and there'd still be some Danishes left or something as a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
So like we kind of got some weird little perks as kids that was very unnormal like that, but it was really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not easy making it as a photographer.
I don't think it's easy being a business owner at all, and definitely not as a
Mm.
photographer. I
Yeah, so
mean,
then why do it, right?
why? Well, I think because that's what they wanted to do. That's what they're already doing.
Yeah.
We're talking about a time that's not like now, right? We're talking 30 years ago. 30 years ago, the commercial advertising game was entirely different.
Mm.
People were shooting film cameras. You had like art directors and you had all this back end work that's kind of been diminished. Everybody has a cell phone in their pocket right now that can take a decent picture. And if you can compose it decently and you
With
can
CapCut.
capture it and you can
Yep.
there's all these kind of like, I don't know, call them loopholes, but there's just different ways to do it now. The technology has, right,
Resources.
there's resources that didn't
Hmm.
exist. So I think there was let me to be honest, there was a lot of their competitors that went out of business through that transition period. I remember them shooting strictly film and then going into digital. And yeah, like there was a lot of people that did not make that transition.
Wow.
I mean, the camera back alone, I remember my parents, it was more than a lot of cars. And like it's like one
Yeah.
day you're just told, hey, you need this thing. It's like, what does it do? Well, it does what you already do, but we need it to be this way now.
Mm.
It's like that's a huge chunk of money and learning curve and all these different things, when you've been doing it the way you've been taught in school,
And it
even, right? And it
works.
worked.
Yeah.
But it cut out a lot of the middlemen and all this thing, I guess, and that was where it evolved to. But I think that's kind of how technology works in general, right?
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
I'm so intrigued by this, right? I mean,
It taught me a lot.
yeah.
It was a really cool environment to learn
I
and
think like
grow up in.
you have to do what you love when you're an entrepreneur because like there's so many parts of being an entrepreneur that aren't actually what you love. So you have to like really believe in what you're doing and want to like dedicate yourself to it. But at the same time, I think adaptability is so important because like just per your point with your parents' story, things evolve and change. And if you don't get with the times, you get left behind.
This is true. I mean, they will tell you, and they'd be happy that I actually listen to this sometimes, right? But like you
Yeah.
hear them say the same time, like a lot of times, it must be true. But they said if we didn't make the transition at the right time, because if you bought too early, you bought technology that got outdated too quickly, and you
Hmm.
lost all your investment. If you waited too late, you already got past. You had to make it at the right time, even.
Yeah.
And that's hard to know. You don't know. It's a feeling at that point. But yeah, no, it is interesting to hear them kind of pinpoint some of those um, pains as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and
And you're
they don't really
still
consider themselves entrepreneurs in the way that
not
I do,
really.
right? Like,
Yeah.
at least I don't feel like they talk about it that way. Like they're photographers. That's what they did. They just own their own business.
That's fair.
That's how they talked about it,
I think that's still the case depending on what you do,
Totally.
you know?
Totally. But they had a good business mind in that sense, I think. They could see some of those things, which I mean, yeah, if you're not looking for them, they just pass you by, or if you're resistant to it, then you never make the change. And Yeah, then you kind of just get left in the dust, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So this just happened to a friend of mine who's a photographer. She had a potential client, customer, however you want to say it, who she was pitching to, who she wanted to
Hmm.
be their photographer.
Hmm.
And they took a look at her website and they said, "You just don't get it." What do you mean, like she doesn't get it? Like you saw her photos that she's done and think that she can't translate, like from an entrepreneur's perspective, because I'm sure something similar happens to everyone in that
Hmm.
field where it's like you're
Hmm.
trying to pitch your product, your service, and you
Hmm.
get told by the customer, I don't think this is a good fit. In that moment, how do you navigate that?
Why do you want to work for somebody that doesn't connect with your work? Do you
Mm,
sell? I mean, you're into coffee, right?
yep. Hmm.
So
I've definitely come
d-
across that.
so there's people that like Starbucks and there's people that don't like Starbucks and they would
Yeah.
like something more like you have. And then there's people that want gas station coffee, right?
Right. That's
So are you
that's
gonna
primarily more what I
I
deal
think
with.
I think so it's more so that, right? Like if you get in front of the right type of client and you connect and you have a good product, then they
Hmm.
see the value in it and that's what it is. You know, I'd say that's what it makes me kind of innately feel about that situation is that maybe the client that they were pitching to just wasn't a good fit, which is a little interesting because didn't they look at their website ahead of time? Like, I don't know. That seems silly.
Well, no, they
That they
didn't.
didn't qualify them just a little bit more than,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know what portion of the sales process they were in and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, there's just the beginning stages. It's
Yeah.
just
So
preliminary.
then like when they said they maybe delivered it in a kind of a weird way. It-
Yeah.
Maybe like the better way is, hey, you're just not a good fit for us.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Yeah.
a really respectable way to say it.
I think
There's clients that I have
hoping
that are
for
still like that.
people to be respectful is kind of, you would hope they would be, but not everybody is.
Yeah, I think people just have sometimes it just comes off and they don't necessarily mean to be
Especially
mean.
other small business owners
Hmm.
too. I think so many of us are so like run down by life, both personally and
Yeah,
professionally.
you can't let that happen.
You can't let that happen, which
I mean, it will happen, but you can't let it.
so let's
You
dive
can't
into
narrate
that
the
for a
story,
moment.
right? Like it can't narrate the
Yes.
story.
So let's dive into that for a little bit because like I said, that was one of the things that I was so intrigued by you was that you just seem to have that like good perspective and balance. And I know that's probably a constant thing that you're working on,
Sure,
but what do
absolutely.
you do to help yourself stay in like a healthy frame of mind?
Well, like we've talked about prior to this, like, and you mentioned this, it's like a work-life balance, I think is like one of the biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
Because and just practice. I've been an entrepreneur, working for myself full time, not for anybody else, for almost 20 years now.
Congrats.
So it's,
It's a big deal
I mean, I've been all over the map as far as what I would say where my success rates were
for
and things,
sure.
you know. But I think the biggest thing is you just kind of learn how to work through that, right? Um, it kind of reminds me of an artist that I was talking to recently. And he was kind of like, "Oh, sorry, I'm getting too excited about my art." And I go, "Dude, if you weren't excited about your art, you probably shouldn't be making it. Simple. Like,
Yeah.
you should be excited about what you're doing. And if you're not, well, then I don't know what you're doing, you
Mm.
know? So like that alone should be, again, for you to be able to say, that person wasn't a good fit. The next one's going to be a good fit, right? That you're going to take and have some losses, but you're going to have wins. And, being realistic with yourself along the way. One of the things that I would say is learn how to pay myself so that, like, if I won this job or didn't win this job, it didn't make it to where I could afford to pay rent this month. Like, that's a hard place to be as an entrepreneur because now my survival is going into this sales position.
Mm.
Sure, it does, right? But you learn how to build buffers. You learn how to pay yourself a salary. You learn how to, as an entrepreneur, have enough money in the bank that if I don't make a sale for so much time, that it kind of just doesn't matter.
Because
One
you're
of the
gonna have to
reasons,
pivot.
well, right. Eventually, you'll have to pivot, but you have time built in that, like this sale. Sure, you want to get this sale, but if it's not right, it's not right. You know, if
Right.
somebody doesn't value you for what you need, you've done all your calculations and I got to charge this amount of money to make it. If they don't value it at that amount, then they're not your customer.
For sure. And it's like really
And that's
important.
hard
It's important to not be in a scarcity mindset.
because all it does is make you reactive and stuff like that
Yeah.
and get like bent out of shape and emotional about it. It becomes emotionally charged in a different way.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's still emotionally charged, but it's a different relationship to it. It took me a long time to get to that point. It's one of the reasons I stopped pursuing art and making jewelry was because I was more into that kind of not scarcity mindset, but this like survival mindset.
Mm.
Scarcity, yes, but like, yeah, because like I need to sell this much by the end of the month, otherwise I can't make rent at the end of the month. And now you're kind of
Yeah.
um, versus jewelry, you say $1 per hour, and people are like, oh, that's so much. And then you say 2 or 3 times that for landscaping, and people say, oh, that's a great price.
So true.
Okay, well, then I need to just do this because I am not surviving well enough. I can't,
Hmm.
I don't have a month or even several months or a year's worth of income, at least a bare minimum income, to where I could pay my mortgage and I could buy groceries. Because if you didn't sell anything for 6 months, like you better be figuring something out, right? But
Literally.
at least you have 6 months to figure it out.
Right. I
You
think,
don't have a week or a day or in the
right.
moment, which is what it feels like when you're really tied up.
I think it's about finding that balance of like, what do people actually need and want versus like what brings you joy, you
Yeah.
know? Because for a lot of us, like, it's not just one thing that's going to bring you joy, you know?
No, I mean, this is a job at the end of the day.
Right.
It
And,
might
and,
be a job you love, but it still has to pay the bills.
right. And it's so interesting because it's like people assume that I just love coffee and like that's why I'm doing what I do.
Hmm.
I'm deeply fascinated by coffee. I don't know if it's just like I got this ADD hook into it. And like now I'm like, I must understand all the elements of coffee. And like that's why I'm on this deep dive, you know? It's like
Hmm.
they joke when you have ADD or ADHD, it's like romantically, if you're interested in someone, they're like, wait like 30 days because it may not be a real crush. It might just be an ADD or ADHD hyperfixation, which is
I get that.
happens.
I get that.
It happens. But like with coffee, I've realized in this experience, what I actually really love is the grind of figuring out the business.
That's what I love that too. It's the
I
problem
the
solving
problem
aspect.
solving is phenomenal. Like when things
Hmm.
don't go well,
Hmm.
talking about family being entrepreneurs. So let's see how many greats I have if I remember this correctly. It's my great grandfather, I want to say. He was a business owner. He owned a clothing shop for men.
Hmm.
And
Yep, we talked about this a little bit.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
this was our first
Yeah.
conversation. It was so intriguing. This is my favorite entrepreneur story. And this is what gets me going because I'm like, oh, damn, that's clever. He got a shipment of men's dress shirts and the backs were missing. And he tried arguing with the seller, and like, no bueno, like the guy just would not refund him, do anything with him, whatever. And so now my great grandfather was stuck with like all of these white dress shirts.
Hmm.
And so what he chose to do was, after, instead of just sitting there and like being woe is me, because as an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
you can't do that. You have to be creative. You have to figure things out,
Hmm.
which is, I think, what I love about it. And he sold the dress shirts to a funeral home because for wakes, you don't need the back of the shirts.
Genius.
And then they got the shirts for discounted
Genius.
prices.
Yeah.
Isn't that so
That's
great?
that's yeah. Yeah, no, I'd say that's one of the biggest attributes of any entrepreneur that's successful is the ability to work through problems.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny because like I was like really internalizing a second ago when you were like, if you're not excited about what you're doing, then what are you doing? And it's funny because a lot of people have been asking me because I'm right at the precipice of getting like Le Cafe to be a brick and mortar. And people are like, oh my gosh, are you excited? And I'm like, no. But it's not because I'm not excited about it. It's just that this stage of where I'm at right now feels so in its infancy because until I have all the financial stuff figured out, it doesn't feel real to me yet. So I think it's more about I'm regulating my emotions
Yeah.
because it's like I need a lockdown and do the part of the business that isn't my strong suit, which is budgeting, which
It
is
might not be the
COGS.
fun part.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it is to a certain extent because I
Yeah.
do like that problem solving, but like because it's not something that comes natural to me, I have to really lock in. And I find that super overwhelming because I'm just like, it's not fun for me.
It is. Yeah.
But it's very important because having your budget, your
100%.
finances, your systems in place,
Yeah.
like if you don't have that, your dream is nothing.
Yeah. And like we said, this is a job, right?
Yeah.
It has to pay the bills. It
So,
has to do,
but
and
like if
that's
I
like the
can
key.
lock
That is like
in,
the code behind it.
yeah, but
That's the
even we were
gearing.
talking earlier, like right now I'm all in theory, right? Because I haven't run my own shop and seen my own customer flow and seen the different seasons that's going to happen year one, year two.
Hmm.
Those systems and those patterns will come, but there are certain systems and operations that I can lock in now. And if I follow them,
Hmm.
then even when things pivot or change, I will feel so much less pressure. So that's why I'm like, next 2 months, nobody talk to me. Cause I'm just like, let me, you know what I mean?
I get
Like,
it.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
literally, besides for the job that's paying my bills, everything else, I'm like, no, I'm so locked in
I
right
can
now.
relate to this. I mean, I'm developing a commercial building. I don't
Oh,
know if I
cool.
told you this or not.
No.
So I'm building, I bought some land. It's zoned commercial industrial, which is what I need for the type of business that I run and how I want outdoor storage, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I bought just farmland. And luckily it's in a industrial courtyard or like a development. So like all the utilities are stubbed in, but it was a flat piece of land. Corn was growing on it when I bought it.
Wow.
Um, and I have architects and engineers that I've spent time
Is
with.
this out in Chesterfield?
This is actually over in Columbia, Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
opposite direction.
I've seen conceptually what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Out in Chesterfield would be a good example of it just being farmland and being brought into essentially commercial.
Yeah.
Um, so this will be our forever home for the business.
Amazing.
It should be big enough to run our operations. I always joke if we ever outgrow it, well, that's a good thing. It wouldn't,
Literally. That'd be
it'd be a
massive.
different thing.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a forever home for the business. It'll create this like way to be creative and create a showcase outdoors and just create a business that's what I dream of, what I actually get excited about. And I can relate to what you're saying about not being excited a little bit,
Mhm.
right? If you're excited to get through it.
Yeah.
That's what you're
Yeah.
excited for.
I'm excited for the part that I'm good at.
Trust me, I am there and I've been there and I just stopped talking about it to people because you're
Yeah.
like, I don't even want to talk about it because if it
Yeah.
doesn't go that way, then people ask, well, what happened? It's like, that's not what
Yeah.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about what I did. I want to show you my
Mhm.
portfolio. And when I say show you my portfolio, like, here's the building that we built. Here's the property that we developed. Here's what it looked like before. Here's
Mhm.
what it looks like now.
Yeah,
I get
totally.
excited about that,
Totally.
not the like, hey, I gotta pay this guy and then I gotta sign this and work this detail out. It's so overwhelming. And when I was
Yeah.
saying it takes you 3 times longer, that's just been it's taken me. I bought the property 3 years ago.
Wow.
Uh, the first year it took a while because you're talking budget. Maybe I jumped in a little head first, but I also just am like, well, if I don't jump in, I'm gonna sit here and
You
just
have to
flounder.
jump at a certain
You
point.
do. Um, and it's been something that I've had to figure out a lot of different things on. It plays into my skill set and what
Yep.
I'd like to do with the company anyway, which is more of general contracting, more of like visionary construction or whatever, bringing something to life for somebody,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so now I'm working with architects and engineers. I'm working with the city. I'm working with zoning codes,
Mhm.
there's some of that have done in the past, but this is like
Whole
full,
different
like
scale.
it is like open the faucet and it's going.
It's
Um,
exciting to hear objectively, but I'm sure for yourself, it's just a lot of nuance, a lot of
and it's stuff that
details.
I want to learn. So it's
Yeah.
not something I just want to like rush through and pass over
Oh,
or hand off all the
100%.
way.
You want to understand it, but it's
But
not
it's
something
also
you
like what
know.
I feel like I'm good at is putting stuff together with my hands.
Hmm.
And that's translated to where I've gotten to with this whole thing,
Right.
which is teaching other people how to work with their hands in the ways that I approach things and how to look at it and objectively think about how to bring this together or, approach a situation.
Yep.
Um, and then work together in tandem to be able to bring those visions together, me selling something to a client and then my team building it, and I don't have to be the person that's building it. um, and something that really kind of struck me and made me think about all of this differently was in Seattle at the Chihuly Museum. And you know Chihuly, right? The
No.
glass artist, really famous glass artist.
Wait, yes.
So
Yes, sorry.
so
Did he do some
Dale,
stuff in Botanical
he has a
Gardens?
ton of stuff in botanical gardens.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
So
Beautiful work.
yeah, his pieces generally are like the composition has hundreds, thousands of glass pieces. You think he blows all those? Absolutely not. His name's on all of it because he has the team of people that he's curated and he works with these
Interesting.
people.
I guess it's like
He's
fashion designers.
right. How do you bring something to life if you have a vision that's bigger than you can create?
This is what
It's
I've wondered.
wild,
This is
but
what I've
it really
wondered.
struck a chord with me because I'm in these like installations and they're like the size of a football field and they're beautiful and they just take you like out of this world. They're just like you're just somewhere else. And that's a thing. That's the kind of art that I am interested in and that I would love to do with my landscapes.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that I can't be so foolish and knuckleheaded and think that, oh, I can just do everything myself because I'm just like that's kind of what I've done. I'll do it myself. I've done it. Like that's how I kind of got into entrepreneurship and how it's always kind of been. But as you build the team, you got to learn to trust and you got to let go. And you
Mm.
could talk to my team right now. They'd probably laugh if they heard this. They'd probably say, "Oh, he hasn't learned to let go." But I swear I have, at least a little bit. Like it's a thing.
Like
Like
they
it's
don't know
hard and it takes
internally.
time
Yeah.
and but that realization of like a vision that is beyond what you physically could do. Sure, he could make one of those art installations in a year or in a couple of years, but what?
Yeah.
Now he has that one museum, nobody else knows him anywhere else around the world versus he has a different impact by learning to work through a team. And I don't know the
Mm.
ins and outs of his story well enough to know how his journey through any of this has been, but that was just my takeaway. Like
Yeah.
in the moment of seeing just this big installation, I would say you could say the same thing is true with any big public art thing, like even the botanical gardens. It's like what takes the gardener that's pulling the weeds just as much as it takes the person at the
Mhm.
front taking your ticket, just like it takes the guy that's like just emptying the trash cans. Like
Like, how do you
all
create
of these things, and the
experience?
guy that's the architect that's drawing the next thing, and that like there, it just takes all these pieces to create this really big experience. And that is something that I never really grasped until that kind of experience, and it was weird. It
Wow.
was a transition point in my opinion for like how I perceive what I want to do and where I want to go. And trust me, sometimes I'm like, you're an idiot. It'd be just a lot easier to work by yourself sometimes,
Would
right?
be.
It would be easier,
Yeah.
but that's not the point.
That's not the impact is the point. The
And
experience is
and
the point.
through that, uh, starting to really dive into what that means and what that looks like and what's going to entail has taught me how to try to learn how to be a team leader and like really like I've never really had a team of people that worked under me. Like sure, I've had a division in a company where there's a couple kids that I worked there for a couple years, they work underneath me so to speak, but I've ran like and told a dozen plus people what to do every day, and definitely not to the point where it's like, hey, what are we doing? If you didn't tell me what to do, everybody just looks at you like, what are we doing? Right? Like that's a whole nother thing. I'm creating everything from start to finish as far as like, well, talking to the clients and then getting the materials and like all these different things. So now I got to teach people how to do that if we're all going to stay busy. I don't know. We're going into some new software right now, so this is still all happening.
Yeah.
It'll always be happening, right?
For sure. It's
But
never over.
it made me learn all these skill sets that I didn't know that I needed. And I was a little resistant to wanting to figure out.
Yeah.
But as I started to figure them out, they started to like get more interesting and make me actually intrigued by them. And learning how to teach people and lead people has been like, now I'm actually really excited about it. It's the weirdest thing. It was never something I was excited about, but now it is.
Yeah.
Um, Had people that didn't have their career path really in place. Um, Multiple people that have worked for me have changed and really like said, I want to do horticulture. I want to do landscaping. I want to work with plants in this way or that way. Like they've defined the direction of their lives through experiences with me. And that is something that like it blows me away. Like I didn't ever expect to like kind of get somebody into loving plants and like want to like work with plants. That was just like, hey, here's a job.
Right.
But then, I mean, it's the same for me. I thought it was just a job too, and here I am, right? Like you fall in love with the thing when it's right, and that being able to cultivate something like that is maybe is the true art piece realistically. But that was where it's like, holy moly, this
It's
is
the
cool.
people.
It's cool. It's
Yeah.
totally different. And I'm not that again, it wasn't something that I like set out to do. It's just something that kind of happened.
Right.
And
And
then when it happens, you like reflect on it and you're like,
yeah,
whoa, this is way cooler than I thought it ever could be.
I think that's what happens when you have a higher purpose that you're called to. I believe I shared this quote with you, but it's my favorite quote, which it's from Zig Ziglar. And he says that if you have an idea for a business or a product that's not currently in existence,
Hmm.
it is your moral obligation to make it a reality.
Hmm.
And we all know, no matter what industry you're in, there's so many people in your field. So it's like you might think, well, the market's saturated, right? But the truth is, I'm very woo woo. I'm very spiritual. I'm a God girl. And I like believe each of us have such a special, unique individual soul that the way that you will approach it, like an artist, is
Sure.
such a unique vision that no one can do it the way that you would, you know?
Yeah, and I think I'd like to kind of speak to that in the sense of like some people don't like there's a comfortability within certain things too, right? Like if some people get put out of their skill set, it's just too much. Like everybody needs a little, you have to get put out of your skill set to learn, right? But like there's
Yeah.
a point where like
You're just
I don't
way.
know what the hell's going on. I feel pretty comfortable there, really comfortable there. And only because I've practiced it for a long time.
Hmm.
I look at it from like art. You don't know how your art piece is gonna always turn out. You learn to trust the process. So like all these kind of different things that I've done in life have shaped this. But I feel really comfortable taking on projects that I have no idea what I'm doing.
In the uncertainty.
But being able to have a decent outcome and then being able to kind of refine that over time and then be able to teach that to other people. Like, I've grown a lot of plants. I feel really comfortable with plants. I was SLF landscaping. SLF stands for Side Lot Farms.
Hmm.
I was growing vegetables. No idea what I was doing when I got into it, but by like year 2 or 3, I was growing 1,000 tomato plants and like another 800 pepper plants,
Wow.
and we were selling to probably a dozen or more chefs around town. And I'm not saying it was really profitable, but it taught me a whole lot about how to grow plants from scratch, how to work with the ground, how to install irrigation. I learned all these different kind of facets that then kind of culminated to be what is like what landscaping entails, which I just kind of jokingly say, like landscaping is maybe the hardest trade in the sense of like we need to know a little bit about every trade.
Hmm.
We need to know a little bit about electric. We need to know a little about plumbing. We need to know a little about concrete. We need to know about plants. And I'd kind of joke also, we do 4D art. Ours includes time and like maybe even 5D, like some kind of natural, like nature, some interaction, some like social interaction with the thing. Like we're manipulating landscapes. It's not like I'm a sculptor kind of when I was an artist, studio artist more so, doing a lot of jewelry. So jewelry is just small sculpture, right? And I also really love big sculpture, but sculpture doesn't include much else beyond. So it's a 3D art. Landscaping, like I said, 4D, maybe 5D. It has these like different
And it's alive.
these different constructs. Exactly. It has these different constructs that like Now you got to manipulate those things too.
And think about the
Oh, it's the
seasons,
coolest thing ever. This
climate,
is why
like,
this is where I get excited.
yeah,
100% is like, and that's the creativity and the problem solving aspects that you got to figure out. How do I bring all these things together to create a vision that is going to be what Miss Jones and I talked about and what I think she'll like,
right.
right? I gotta pull out of Miss Jones. I like this kind of thing. I like that. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. Here's the problems around my house. Here's the things that happen in the neighborhood. Here's the animals that here's the my how my kids interact with it. Take all these different things and you push it into this like answer. That's cool to me. Because
So,
and I gotta provoke it.
yeah.
Um, Custom jewelry taught me how to do that. I was
Hmm.
making a lot of custom jewelry. You learn how to set a budget. You learn how to pull like style and color and what's the significance to somebody. And I love saying it to new design clients. "Hey, you can tell me, design me a pretty landscape, and I will do what I think is a pretty landscape. You can tell me I want it like this and show me a magazine and I want it to look somewhat like this and I can do it like that.
Yep.
You can give me as much or as little information. Of course, if you give me like just nothing, then you gotta be happy with what I give you a
So
little bit.
you're kind of like a design chameleon, if you will.
Right? Well, like I tell everybody also when I meet with them, this is your yard. You got to look at it when I'm done, not me.
Yep.
I would love to do it in the way that I think. And like, sure, I'll show you if you want to see some of my portfolio that I get really excited about that I want in my yard or that I think is some of our best work. Sure, I'd love to show you that. But like at the end of the day, if you just want this thing that you saw and I can build that, sure.
This is such a good conversation because we were talking a little bit how for my coffee shop, I wanted to have you come in and design the little pocket park in the back.
Hmm.
And part of what I'm doing is going to Paris for inspiration. And what I'm going to do is now that we're having this conversation, I'm part of what I'm going to look for design wise is see how parks play into the Parisian culture, where they are, how people interact with them, the different designs.
Yeah, now we're getting real art
Yeah,
project with it.
because
Yeah, I
it's,
like
I
that.
want it to be a vibe, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you'll see when you see it,
absolutely.
but it's like literally just a little parking lot and it's like a hidden like jewel when it's going to be the garden
Hmm.
kind of thing. So I want it to be the kind of thing where it's like, unless you know, you don't know. So it's almost like a speakeasy garden kind
Hmm.
of thing.
Hmm.
And then once you're back there, you're just like, wow, I want to stay here. Like this is a place that I enjoy being
Yeah,
in.
I think this is why you were like, oh, you're perfect for this, is because it's kind of what I was saying. Is like
Hmm.
it creates a vibe, it creates
Yeah.
a place, it gives you a. I'm working on this, so I almost don't want to say the name of it out loud. But the vision that I would have for like kind of my next stages of the company are more visionary, and it's like places that capture like your emotions and create conversation and just take you into a new place
Hmm.
and have this new vibe to it. Like that to
Yeah.
me is what I think is the coolest part about
I
a
think
manipulated space.
yes, a manipulated space. And what I love about that word is I I like to say I'm manipulative and I don't mean and I don't mean it like I
No.
use my powers for good. What
Yeah.
I mean to say is like when I say I'm manipulative, I mean that I like to sense people and
Hmm.
then curate an experience
Hmm.
that they can't put their finger on why they're having that experience. They just know they enjoyed it and they want more.
It's something my mom told me when I was young is there's people that know how to make art and there's people that know what kind of art they like. Simple. That's
Hmm.
okay. That's great because that means that I have somebody to sell my art to,
Right.
right?
Because like as a barista, even like so many times people would come in and like you could just tell they were struggling on figuring out what
Yeah.
to order. And so then I just started asking them the questions to direct them so
Hmm.
that they're going to get that experience that they
Hmm.
want, you know?
And I think that that's what creates a good service in this scenario,
Hmm.
is that ability to like draw out of them,
Right.
right? Like they know what they want, they just don't know how to answer the question.
Yeah. And like for me, like a big part of like my why of why I'm creating like Cafe is because there's been so many times in my life and even currently where I've like felt extraordinarily lonely, even if I'm surrounded by so many people and so many loved ones.
Hmm.
And it's just this disconnect of not really quite finding your people, your place, and that where you just feel like you're the best version and the realest, most authentic version of you. And I think like I just want to create this space of entrepreneurs, like thinkers, thought leaders, where we can all just like be and have these kinds of conversations.
Hmm.
And then I'm creating this community where I'm introducing that. So it's almost like your neighborhood cheers, where you walk in and it's like, you know, that when you walk in, you're not just getting a cup of coffee, you're probably going to leave with a connection and a good conversation.
Hmm. So don't go there to get any work done. I'm just kidding. I'm
Well,
just
I'm
kidding.
going to have that too. That's why I'm having my co
Yeah,
working spaces. So if you
yeah,
need to, like,
for sure.
you know,
Yeah, put your headphones on.
well, we'll even have some like work rooms where people can go in and literally like,
Yeah, I will need that.
you're like, that's me.
Yeah, that's how
Don't
I
talk to
work.
me. I
Yeah.
with my new job, I have to wear a baseball cap because I work at a warehouse.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
never worn a real
Yeah.
baseball cap really, except for when I went to Kilimanjaro. I'm not really a hat kind of girl, but I am now low key. I'm
Okay.
like, because it was just like a sensory thing. Like I was like weird wearing one. And then like I guess being so girly too, I was like, ugh, I can't wear my hair down. I can't style it. That's so annoying. But it's low key a vibe. And then I went to the gym today and I wore it and I was like, it kept me dialed in. And like no one was really talking to me because I like something about a baseball cap at the gym. You're like,
Yeah. Well, that's your what you're in a factory or warehouse or
yeah,
yeah, so that's your warehouse hat.
hmm,
When you're doing the bookkeeping, put a different hat on. Maybe it's a really fancy architect hat.
yeah,
Like for
yeah,
real, I used to joke about this. I used to wear a different hat to work it like handful of years ago because it was like when I was first understanding how to separate kind of like there's always these conflicting things. Like as an owner, you just want to be like make money.
yeah,
As a creative, you want to do the most creative thing. As a this, like you have kind of these conflicting things. So you got to learn how to figure out which hat to put
different
on for the
personalities.
day. And it's
Yeah,
yeah,
because like
it's
I'm more tomboy-ish, if you will, when I'm at the factory. Because like that's not the time to have like
no.
painted nails or full face of makeup or styling my hair or whatever. Like for like religious modesty reasons, I still wear like a little bit of a skirt, but I'm more modern, so it's like more of like a tennis skirt over leggings kind of thing. But it's like, for example, here, it felt like such a treat to wear real clothes and to like feel like a woman again. I'm like, wow, I'm a girl again. This is so great. Like, wow. Cause like there's no concept in my like warehouse job where I'm like, oh teehee, this box is so heavy. Could someone do it for me? Like it's my job. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Yep.
there's no such thing as like, oh, I can't do this job because oh my God, I'm a girl. This is too hard. Like, no, I'm working. And so I'm
Yeah.
work mode. But like I love that I could like step into like my feminine and be like, okay, we're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. I can appreciate that.
Life is fast, but every now and then you deserve a pause, a moment that's just for you.
At Le Café, we believe that each cup of coffee should taste like a little bit of luxury. Handcrafted and locally roasted here in St. Louis, each of our single origin beans are carefully selected to give you the most unique and smoothest experience. Whether you like a light, medium, or dark roast, we got you. For those busy mornings, or for my coffee lovers who prefer efficiency, we also have K-Cups. So go ahead and pour yourself a cup that tastes like self-care. Visit www.lecafe.us to bring the cafe experience home. Le Café, you deserve it.
Where do I want to go with this conversation? Oh, something interesting. So I really appreciate landscaping because my first memories of landscaping were with my dad.
Hmm.
This is not my childhood home. It kind of is low key. We moved here when I was 12, but our old house, owned that house, had a big front lawn. My dad and the other dads of the street had such a competition on like who had the best lawn. You know, like I remember my dad would like mow it so it had like the diamond shape.
Hmm.
And I just remember he had this little garden and like he would buy things from botanical gardens and just be like super inspired. And we did a lot of it ourselves. We did have gardeners every now and then, but like for the most part, like my dad and I would like be out there. And so it's just like I wonder like What is it, do you think? Because I'm not a homeowner, so I don't really pay attention to the lawn because that's my,
Hmm.
landlord's
Hmm.
thing. Plus, to be honest, I don't really have a green thumb. I've never really tried though. I could curate
I've killed a lot of plants.
I could curate a bouquet of flowers. Like I love picking out flowers and like I'm really good
Yeah.
at making bouquets, but it's different than like growing and understanding all the different stuff. So, what do you think it is? Because so many people love investing in their landscaping. Like, why is that?
Ooh. I think there's multiple reasons. I think that A, it's our connection with nature a lot,
Hmm.
right? It's like it's how we connect with plants. It's how we um, interact with space. I was kind of talking about that earlier. Like, how do you move through the space? How do you use it? Where, you know, or do you need a patio? Do you have a dog? Do you have a playground? Where's the water faucet at? Where's the Like, how do you move through the space dictates landscape, but then also, obviously, it's this aesthetic thing. And it's pretty to look at. I think at its most basic level, we got to do something with it, right? Otherwise, it would be
Yeah,
big, tall weeds. So that's when you get like kind of what your landlord does, which they just mow and,
right.
some bushes that get trimmed every once in a while, whatever, because you got to do something with it.
Yeah.
So then that's kind of the most basic landscaping. But then you go to like, again, parks have the way that they are used. I mean, the way we walked through the park, all that's considered landscaping, the way the paths go
Oh, that
through,
was beautiful.
right?
I love Forest Park.
Um, so there's this, so I think it's A, how do we like socially interact with it and our
Hmm.
connection to it? Um, I think there's a little bit of sometimes like maybe what you were talking about, this kind of like showmanship to it. Obviously, there's people that compete for the like in with roses and with different kinds of flowers.
Yeah.
I think that kind of just goes back to our agricultural basis. Like, um, people had those connections with plants. I think it's interesting to kind of see how we've evolved. When I first got into landscaping, there wasn't a lot of native plants being used, and now there is because people's values have kind of changed through time. Um, People don't just care about the striped, perfect lawn anymore. They care more about interacting with the ecology and trying to be more sustainable. And so, that's cool to see that change. Um, but your question was,
Why is it something that people want to invest in?
because I think the second part, what I was going to answer is it's an extension of your house and your personality,
Mm,
right? And it's like and this I had uh, something that I've had to grow into. If I had a client ask me, I can't believe people spend 30K on their yard. I go, if you've seen some of the posts that I've seen, people spend millions of dollars on landscaping in reality. Not everybody has that budget, but how much do you think the botanical gardens costs? That's all landscaping at the end of the day,
oh yeah.
right? Like, so, um, but it's because it's an extension and a place, again, for you to connect. When you look at it from a dollar perspective, if we create a patio and an outdoor kitchen, even you have a pool, I mean, how many square foot does that take up? 5, 6,000 square foot. How big is your house? It's probably smaller than that,
Yeah.
right? So like it's an extension of where you can live and how you can like move, yeah. It's an extension of your house, right?
Have you read or watched the movie The Secret Garden?
I have not.
Shocking.
I know.
Okay, well,
Tisk tisk.
please do. Please do.
Yeah.
Um, oh goodness. I feel like embarrassed for my own self now because I'm like childhood memories trying to like share what it's about. But oh God, hopefully I'm right.
Somebody's gonna say when they're
I know
listening,
that's what I'm
that's not what this
thinking.
is about at all. I'm just
From
kidding.
my memory,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is what I
yeah.
remember this story
This is what
meant
it
to
meant
be.
to you.
This is what it meant to me. There we
Yeah.
go. It was this little girl who was orphaned. And so she went to go live with some relatives. And maybe it was either distant cousins or maybe it was like family friends. And very wealthy family, but the son was crippled
Okay.
and couldn't get out of bed. And so basically, she was brought in to almost be like a playmate, keep him kind of entertained,
Mhm.
right? And as a favor to long lost friends, distant cousins who her parents were gone for whatever reason. Anyways, the two ended up really bonding, and she ended up helping him actually heal because it turns out that he really wasn't that crippled. It was like a whole thing of like negligent parenting and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, like 1800s Victorian era,
Mhm.
that setting, if you will. But in the garden, his mother, who had died in childbirth when he was born, so the father was like, totally heartbroken. There was this garden that she had loved and curated and was totally closed off. It was called the Secret Garden. And basically the two went in and then developed it. And it was like the most beautiful thing. And I just remember like, especially being a child, having a very overactive imagination, just like reading about it. What you imagine is like crazy, especially as a kid. So I just imagined this like beautiful place that just took you out of this world. And I think that's cool because I think, like you said, most of us are
Or it
used
brings you
to,
right into this world, really,
oh, yeah.
right?
I'm trying to figure out how to do that more because, like we were talking right before this episode, I love social media. I am such an addict and I'm okay
Mhm.
with it.
Mhm.
Not trying to change it, although I really I sprained my thumb last night.
Yeah, you're cut off for at least a few days.
That's a new low. I was listening to this podcast and it was talking about how, like, before you have any sort of social interaction, like, a lot of times people will feel nervous, right?
Mhm.
And so it was saying how you should, like, whether it's a date or a party or a job interview or whatever, you should not go on your phone for an hour beforehand
Mhm.
because something about the dopamine, the overstimulation, the fake colors, the 4K, it like dysregulates you.
Hmm. So basically, we should never be on our phone. Unless,
In theory,
unless you're gonna go home and be alone for the rest of the night. Like I live alone, so like I could use it about then, but otherwise I gotta interact with people all day long,
in theory.
right?
In
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at least in the morning, like before you go to
Sure.
work, instead of
Sure.
be scrolling, like
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like, right, you don't want to do it before you go to bed for an hour.
you're not supposed to.
Yeah, the blue light or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not even just the blue light. I think it's just that constant like I
Stimulation.
yeah,
Yeah.
so like for me, like part of our religion is that on our Sabbath it begins Friday night through an hour after sundown, Saturday night. So I go off the grid every weekend for 25 hours.
Was that hard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? Speaking on this conversation of entrepreneurship as well, it is 10x the difficulty since I've become an entrepreneur. Because especially in the coffee world, especially with pop-up events, so many opportunities are on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I have my brick and mortar, the biggest money-making day for coffee shops is Saturday. And I won't be open on Saturday. And I don't work on Saturdays. Do you know how hard that is?
I understand it to a little bit, but yeah, no. That sounds honestly a little terrifying.
It's really hard. And it's also like such FOMO because, like, there's, especially in the entrepreneur world, I'm part of this group called Babes in Business with other women entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
And we do a lot of collaborating. And there's collaborations that happen on Sunday or during the week. Like, I could still
Hmm.
collaborate with people. But there have been so many things where it's just like, can't go because it's on Saturday or it's Friday night.
Hmm. Well, see, you're talking about how do you create that balance? See, you've already created that balance.
I
That is the
get
balance.
it
Like you
is,
have
it
a hard
is.
boundary, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I could do the same thing where I think I need to work every Saturday and Sunday, and I could just work all day long, all week long during especially certain times of the year, like now that it's spring, but my employees, they don't want to do that. They won't. But B, like if I just like say, no, this is when we're open, this is when we're open, then you have to strategize how to figure it out.
Right.
It might change the strategy, it might make it to where it's unfeasible, but at least you're
Yeah.
being realistic with yourself. I think that's
So,
what the balance, that is the balance.
and I think for me, that goes back to my faith too, where it's like ultimately I believe that money comes from God. So if that's true, then me violating what God told me to do
Could be-
isn't going to help me be
No,
successful.
no,
You know what I mean? Like
sure.
the money will come regardless.
Hmm.
And it's just like you said, it's about how can I be more creative? So, per example, with that, so I can't be open on Saturdays. That's a boundary that I've created.
Mm,
So, a workaround that I want to do is we'll be open Saturday nights, like a late night coffee shop.
okay.
So, typically my hours are from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. But then Saturday nights in the summer, since of daylight savings, will be open from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And on the winters, will be like 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. And we'll do events to like make those be more popping.
Hmm.
And it's just a place for people to go when they don't want to hit the typical bar or club scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are that industry is growing a lot, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that want a social aspect of things, but don't want to just go out drinking
Hmm.
or don't want to be around that or whatever, and want a space that's a little bit more dedicated and to that. Yeah,
We'll find our people.
yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to keep figuring out. You got to follow what your heart is, make something good, and then figure out how to show it off to enough people until you find your people.
I think the hardest thing is when you have those kinds of boundaries, though, like a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, I respect you so much." It's like, cool.
I didn't
But
say it was going to make it easier,
no,
right?
being
Yeah,
respected is just like whatever. Like, okay, cool, you're not giving me a hard time, but doesn't take away the challenge.
right. Yeah.
But I will say, like, I'm still, I might be like had that boundary, but I'm still a human being. I've struggled with going on my phone on Saturday.
Hmm.
And like the weeks that I have like done it, my weeks are so chaotic and so off balance. So I have just made that a non-negotiable for myself to not be on the phone because I literally will turn off my phone. So people don't have to feel bad if they text me because I don't get it anyways. I'll
Yeah.
get it when I
Well,
turn my phone on, be like, oh my gosh, I'm popular. Or I turn it on and nothing has happened, and I'm like, wow,
I
didn't
mean,
miss
let's
a
be
thing.
real. You're probably in the same boat that I am, at least right now while you don't have the business open. It ain't an emergency. It can wait a day or two.
Literally. But also,
But a
like,
lot of entrepreneurs don't have that. That's what I think you see the chaos in,
yeah, but there's
is
no
that
emergency.
that's kind of the point, but people still
Yeah.
think like there is. That's
But
like
even when your business is fully open, when my business is fully open, like in the end of the day, I do coffee, you do landscaping.
it's on fire, call the fire department.
Literally.
I don't know what to tell you.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Here's my whole thing about
And I think that's
stress.
it because there's too
Yeah,
many, that's that I want to control all the things,
control things.
right? Like it
I have no
is.
desire to control.
And then that's great as an entrepreneur because that'll help you.
And I am inherently so lazy. I am I am a wonderful delegator. Like
Yeah, that's great.
people want to do things. I'm like, oh my gosh, you want to lighten my load, please.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
need an
that's been a task. That's been a skill set that I've had to learn personally.
yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
only thing is they have to feel like they can do it well. I'm not just gonna delegate it to someone who
Well,
can't.
sure. And I think I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And it's like, so there you go. When you're building somebody's skill set, one something I've really learned and still learning this is, yeah, when you teach somebody this new thing, and even if you think that they're capable of doing it, they're still going to fail, and you got to be okay with them failing and still be able to say, "Good job, keep trying," because that's hard,
Yeah.
especially when you're the one paying for it at the end of the day.
So I'm
It's hard.
experiencing that on the other
It's
hand,
really hard.
as my new job working in the warehouse, as you can imagine, quite out of my element in certain things.
Mm.
And like a lot of warehouses have progressed and turned into primarily being machine based.
Mhm.
But this company is up and coming, so like they haven't gotten the budget yet to get some of these machines. So
Mhm.
there's still a lot of things that I'm doing that's by hand, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so my efficiency matters, and they're paying me a certain rate per hour and
Mhm.
expecting a certain quality and a certain
Certain,
turnover,
yeah, certain
which
output.
is totally fair.
Sure.
But at the same time, I am so impressed by my manager because, like, I've been there about 2 weeks and I've gotten more efficient simply because of the environment that he's created and curated, which is
It's a good
one,
manager.
such a good manager. He's like, my number one priority is make sure you don't burn this place down to the ground. So let me teach you the first skill sets to like be just a comparable worker, like to
Yeah.
do your basic
Yeah.
job. Then the next thing is he's like, I need you to just feel comfortable. Because if you're so worried about efficiency and turnout, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to work even slower. You're going to make more mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how can you get more comfortable? And then he's getting to know me and like, what are my triggers? What makes me comfortable? What makes me uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And then now, week 2, he's starting to put into place like, oh, here's how I think you could be more efficient. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've been like getting so much faster because of this.
Yeah, that sounds like he's a good manager.
And it's teaching me because I'm keeping this in mind
It's good.
for myself.
It's good.
Because it's like
Sounds like it's been a great experience so far.
it's been a lot of learning. I thought it was going to be one of those jobs where I put my earbuds in and can just mindlessly do a task.
Yeah, that's like in 2 months or maybe a month or whatever,
Well, no,
right?
because they don't even want me to do that because,
Because you want to hear the machine or something or whatever,
well, no,
right?
not that. They're trying to curate me because it's still in the coffee
Okay.
business.
Okay.
So he's like trying to train me on like he'll randomly just come over and start talking to me and he'll be like, okay, this crazy thing happens to you. How are you going to handle it? Here's how much time you have. Like, he's like trying to train me to be like
Hmm.
manager perspective. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
what are the most important onboarding tasks? When would you hire? When would you fire? And then, even with like, let's say making coffee, he's had me make coffee in the office like really fast under time. Like he'll time me and he'll be like, how can you be more efficient? What did you do wrong? How can you be better? Like it's all these skill sets that I was not prepared for in this job,
Interesting.
but it's going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
And like they're getting coffee beans from all over the world. And so he's like roasting them and he's having me taste them. And like he's helping to develop my palate.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's so wild.
That's cool.
Like
So are
we,
you working for him?
am I working for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Versus
I don't know. For some reason, I thought this was kind of in tandem with your coffee.
it is in tandem because I'm working for him, but he's also working for me
Got it. That makes
because
sense.
they do shipping and fulfillment for a lot of coffee brands.
Okay.
I am one of their customers,
Got it.
and now I'm working for them to help them with the rest.
Okay.
But I've also met some of their bigger customers, and I was like asking them all these questions about like, how did you figure this out? Like, how I'm like packaging all of your beans, and you can't keep your bags on the shelf
Mm-hmm.
versus I'm selling coffee every few weeks here and there.
Mm-hmm.
What's your secret? What's your business model?
Mm-hmm.
And so learning all these things, this
Yeah,
is like
that
why
sounds
I
like a
wanted to
really
be
good
there.
connection point.
Yeah. And they also want to do more trips down the line where it's like going to Nicaragua, going to Kenya. And instead of like back in the day, the coffee culture is changing, talking about adaptability, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like back in the day, you're like, oh, I really like coffee from Kenya, or I like coffee from Tanzania, or coffee, from
Mm-hmm.
Brazil. Now, you're learning to identify what notes you like. Like, oh, I really like a natural honey washed bean that has like a cherry undertone. Well, great. That can be curated in all these different farms and getting relationships with the different farmers. And like, then if for whatever reason, whether it's the climate or the crop, something goes wrong here, you could find your other sources.
Yeah,
See how I'm like nerding out about coffee?
I like it.
And I'm like learning about tasting coffee too. I tasted coffee the other day and I was like, I'm tasting a little bit of plum with like a maple undertone. And it was so wild because like you would have talked to me 3 weeks ago and I would have told you that anyone who talked like that is full of shit.
Well,
I'm like, do
yeah,
they really taste that?
yeah.
And it's like you really can
Well,
curate.
that's being like really good at your craft, right? Like when
Yeah.
you're really good at your craft, you see things that nobody else is even paying attention to.
Nor do they necessarily need to.
Because you know why? People don't know why they like art. They just know they like it.
Hmm.
That's it. That is actually the quote that I messed up earlier. But like it's
Okay.
not like it's like people don't know why they like a piece of art. They just know why they don't know why they like it. They just like it.
Yeah.
So like I don't know why I like this coffee, but well you like it because like you like plum and you like the
Mm-hmm.
this right. Those are the tastes that you really like, but you don't really see it that way. You
Yeah.
just know I like this coffee or not.
Right.
And so for what you were talking about earlier, it was like as a barista, you can say, well, what do you like? What have you experienced before? And that can kind of inform your decision toward
Yeah.
what then
And to
to
be able to
gear them
guide
towards.
people on that
Yeah,
journey too and be like,
yeah.
okay, like you think you don't like this, but like what time of day it is and like how are you roasting your coffee? Are you brewing your coffee?
I would
Like
say
all these
anybody that's
things.
worked as a waiter or a server or a bartender has done a lot of the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Like
Oh
what,
yeah.
right? It's the same kind of thing. It's like you're curating an event or an experience even, right? Like, yeah,
It's really
that's
cool.
that is really cool.
It's really fun.
It's kind of magical, right?
Oh, it
Yeah.
truly is. It truly is. And
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing to tell people is that there's no such thing as espresso beans.
Well, I mean, essentially, I that's what I would look at it as art.
It is an art.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is an art and
Yeah.
it's a craft and it's like it's something that I'm dedicating my life to
Yeah.
and I'll never be done.
No.
And like I think that's
No, because there's going to be more technological
oh
improvements that make things
yeah.
different and you're going to learn and
Oh my gosh. I'm like
right.
I'm literally when I do have my headphones in at my new job, I'm listening to this podcast called It's Just Coffee.
So-
It's these two Australian guys. So whew, already it's like love listening to them. But also they're so freaking smart and they're funny, but they like go into like all the nerdy science stuff about coffee and the water and the minerals and the temperature and like all these different facets and talking to different people in the coffee industry every episode.
Mhm.
And it's like they're so great. But then at some point they know they've gotten a little off the deep
Little
end,
too deep.
a little too deep,
Yeah.
and like they're like, but in the end of the day, I can't say.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
in the end of the day, guys, it's just coffee.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm like, that's true. It's
Absolutely.
true. You know, and in the end of the day, like, oh, the biggest thing for me is people will tell me, yeah, I just have instant coffee. And I'm like, well, once I
Can I
rip
make you a cup of coffee?
I'm like, let me just take the knife out of my back and let me
Yeah.
tell you one fun fact, which is if you're ever having instant coffee, have you noticed that it tastes pretty much the same no matter what brand?
Hmm.
There is like a distinct instant coffee taste.
Hmm.
Instant coffee is freeze-dried coffee.
Sure.
So when you add hot water directly to it, you're burning it. And that's that instant
That
coffee
makes
taste.
sense.
So if you first add lukewarm or cold water, just enough to dissolve the grinds, and then add your hot water on top, you're going to get a totally different experience.
Hmm. Oh, don't tell them that. They'll drink the instant stuff.
But I just get so
No, that's
excited,
cool
you
though.
know?
Yeah, I mean, like that's. I think that if you're passionate about stuff, you end up nerding out really hard about stuff like that, right? Like
Yeah,
you
like
learn
I
those little
just
things that,
changed your
like,
life. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I was talking about something yesterday about if you're, I mean, so many of us have grown tomatoes. It's a very popular thing to grow and as a vegetable. Did you know that there's a temperature that the pollen on the tomato plant goes sterile, and that's why you don't have tomatoes for a hot period of portion of the summer?
oh, no
I
way.
only learned that when I was growing them. And that's why you see like kind of like as you ramp up into the summer, you see a big production of tomatoes. And then when it's the hot of the year around here in St. Louis, when it's been like 100+ days, tomatoes kind of go dormant, stop producing for a little bit. And then once the fall kind of comes back in, you see another burst of tomatoes.
Wow.
It's the only thing that I could account for that making that, but I never knew why. You just like learn those little things and then you geek out and
Yeah.
somebody's like,
It's fun to learn why things are the way they are.
100%.
Would I prefer for people to invest in my quality premium coffee? Obviously. But at the same time, like, it's just coffee. I love coffee. I love people. This is just the catalyst. I believe my people will find me.
Mhm.
And these instant coffee drinkers, they were never going to be my customers, probably, anyways. Or maybe now
Yeah.
they will be because of that transparency.
In the education aspect, right? I think that's we were when we were talking earlier, it's something that kind of made me came to mind was how do you're not going to change people's mind. People change their mind on their own, right? Well, how
Yeah.
do people do that? Through fact finding, through experience. So if you can cultivate education that teaches people about why this coffee is going to be a better product, then it creates a value and maybe you will create people that are instant coffee drinkers going towards the higher end coffee.
Right. Because then it starts that curiosity.
Right.
Because I'll be frank,
Yeah.
I didn't start off drinking premium coffee.
I don't
I
think
started off drinking instant
I
coffee.
drank whatever my parents had in the
Literally,
closet.
I remember working corporate, being afraid to use the regular coffee pot and just put the that in there because I grew up in instant coffee at home. I didn't know how to use a coffee pot. I was afraid. I was the girl who I was trying to be a good Samaritan at the office and like the pot was empty, so I like was gonna make it for the next person even though I already had my coffee. Dumb blonde moment. I left and forgot to put the coffee pot underneath the filter.
Ooh, I've done that. That's never fun. I think anybody that's ever made coffee in their lives has done that.
At least
That's
one.
the worst. It's
Well,
everywhere.
I
Or
mean,
when you miss the filter or something and it like
yeah.
folds over. Oh,
Well, that's a whole other thing. But with this one, I was thinking like, you ever
yeah.
like walk away from being a good person and like are full of
Totally
yourself?
botch it.
That too, but are also like full of yourself for being a good person. So you walk away, and you're like, wow, I was so nice. Do you do that? Is that a me thing?
Oh no, I think everybody feels good when they think they're doing something good,
I walked
right?
away and I was like, wow, look at me. That's
Yeah,
so nice. They can look at
that's pretty
me.
normal. Yeah.
I like little good for me.
And then
And then I got to my desk and I heard this
and you had
commotion.
a little ego check.
Huge ego check. And then like my boss was like, we're because everyone was like, who would be dumb enough to
Oh shit, that's me.
But my boss was like, we shared an office at the time. She looked over at me and she's like, weren't you the one who was just in the break room making coffee? And I got so nervous in that moment. I was like, no, that wasn't me. Cleaned it up for
Yeah.
me.
Oh no. Oh no. Did you ever tell him? Did you ever come clean?
Later I did, but
I hope one
like
of them's listening right now. She did
it was me.
it.
Oh my God. But I'm just saying, like, that's where I come from. So, like, to be where I'm at right now, like, I think there's such a gap in the coffee knowledge of like people who come from that world where they have like a regular coffee pot versus or instant
AKA where we
coffee.
all started
We all
at some
started,
rate. Yeah.
unless you were raised in a
Yeah.
much,
Yeah,
that
whatever.
happens.
Yeah, but
That
that's
was
not the majority, right?
yeah, I think it's interesting because I was just thinking on this. I'm like, I think the next generation is going to be a little different
Absolutely.
because with Rebels and espresso machines, I think that the average coffee consumer is a little more sophisticated
Absolutely.
than when we grew up.
Absolutely.
So, but if you grew up in the 90s and earlier, it was a
Yeah,
different story. You
sure.
had your instant coffee or your coffee pot, your folders. And so, yeah, it's,
I mean, I think people are probably, I mean, I'd say the same things with landscaping. It's more elevated than it's ever been.
yeah,
Of course. I mean, people see it and they're like,
yeah.
that's really cool. Oh, I like that. I want that too. You know, people have an experience and they want to jump on board.
I just realized I totally took over talking about coffee. Sorry,
No, it's
it
all right.
happens.
Well, I mean, we are kind of, this is a like started from coffee, so
Yeah,
it makes
that's true.
sense.
That's true. Full circle moment.
Right.
I want to be respectful of your time because
Yeah.
I know you have a class to get to. But I have this tradition at the end of every podcast episode.
Hmm.
This whole podcast is based on this Hebrew quote, which is "Eze chacham halamed mikol adam," which means one who is wise is one who learns from everyone. So we have learned a lot from you. But if you can leave us with your favorite life lesson or quote, what would it be?
So this is one that I just kind of really grasped onto recently. And it's fun because I think I told you what mine was going to be on here, and then I kind of was like, I don't know. It just comes off wrong unless I can explain it for long enough, potentially.
Yeah.
But the newest one is it kind of plays into the same thing, and it's if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
Hmm.
And I think that that really like it kind of came to play when I was just out snowboarding, talking to some like younger people, maybe had a beer or two. So I was feeling loose and just excited. And somebody sees like somebody that's, you know, just like I think we've all been there, somebody that obviously that person is experienced. They look like they know what they're doing. Let me ask them some questions. So you ask them some questions. And I think the thing that I kept coming to, because I started talking to a lot of people, a lot of younger people at Hidden Valley, everybody's kind of the beginning skier. But
Yeah.
I'm like, have fun. If you're not having fun, you're not going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
If you don't keep doing it, you're never going to get better. So like that was kind of the root of it.
Mm.
Um, and I do think that that's true. Kind of, and it goes back to the artist being excited about their art. If you're not having fun, well, like I think there's something that doesn't negate that there's going to be hard times, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that goes without saying. So let's not try to sugarcoat this thing. But like if you're not having fun, I think you're doing it wrong. I really do.
100%. Because I've done jobs that were just work and weren't fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done jobs that I love, but still had that element of responsibility because
Mm-hmm.
it's a job, like you said, at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. And when there is that fun, it gives meaning to the more monotonous parts of the job
Mm-hmm.
or the harder days.
Yeah. I mean, there's gonna be days that yeah,
Yeah.
you just want to go home and maybe scroll on your phone for a few hours. And then there's gonna be days that you come home and you just can't even go to bed because you're so
You're
excited.
buzzing.
Right? Like
Yeah.
and so I think that, you have to balance that. But like, yeah, if you're not having fun, I think you are doing it wrong.
And your attitude can change
So
your whole
so how
perspective.
it plays into my other true favorite quote,
Yeah.
perspective's a bitch. Because like
Mm,
without that perspective alone, then you don't understand, like then the hard days are really hard. And then when the good days happen, you're just like up and down, but you don't have a perspective on it. One of the things that kind of really solidified that saying to me is, when you're looking at something literally from a physical perspective of standing up, looking at the ground, versus if I get on my stomach, just like if you're playing pool and you're trying to look across there, if you're trying to look if something's flat or straight, you have to have a perspective. So like that's a physical like thing, right? Anybody that does any kind of finishing, like if you see a ding on a car or like the shine's funny on this spot, like it's a perspective thing. But also like life is like so much like that like without the right perspective, like it's gonna suck. And even when like I don't know. So that's kind of where that saying kind of comes from. Like I think it could kind of be taken the wrong way, but like perspective's a bitch.
it can be.
And like, but that's also kind of the point is that like maybe if things are really hard, that maybe you're not just looking at it the right way yet.
I needed to hear this,
Yeah.
so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because, like, I have to remind myself for this as an entrepreneur, I curate my schedule for my days right now, which is freaking awesome. Like, when I was a 9 to 5er, I dreamed of having the freedom that I have right now. But meanwhile, in the past few weeks, months, I've gotten so caught up in the grind and the overwhelm of the responsibility and this huge impact that I want to make, right?
Hmm.
That sometimes on the day to day, instead of focusing on how cool it is on each of the things that I get to do and the fact that I have the flexibility to do it when I want to do it to a certain degree, I'm just focused on, oh, I need to get here by this time. I need to make sure I'm doing this by this time. And like just for example,
It's really hard.
today my factory job, I get there between like 5 and 6:30 a.m. I have a range. I could choose like how early I want to get in. I like to do that so I can leave by noon, which is awesome because I'm done with work by
Hmm.
noon. And then I go to the gym and like no one's really at the gym at that time. So I have the gym to myself. And like then I was coming here to do the podcast. And then I've got some like little admin work and podcast editing and like laundry to do tonight,
Hmm.
super chill day, super fun. I enjoy all these things, but all I was thinking about all day was like, this has to be done by this time, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. And so, perspective.
Perspective, time blocking.
Time
That's it's hard though. That's what
blocking.
is hard about the entrepreneur thing. And that's what I was kind of saying earlier is like, it's really hard to have to do it all. Like you have to figure out your schedule and then also hold
Mhm.
yourself to the schedule. And then if the schedule is not working, you need to change it and this and that. And it's like at the end of the day, it's all your responsibility.
Right.
That's why entrepreneurship and business ownership is really hard.
So, are you familiar with Alex Ramosi?
Mm-mm.
You're so welcome. I'm gonna change your world. He's the best. He is an entrepreneur like guru. He owns a bunch of gyms and now that's like, but in general, entrepreneurship, he gives a lot of solid advice.
Hmm.
And one of the videos that I watched of his recently, he talked about how entrepreneurship in the beginning, it's the hardest it's ever going to be. Not that you're not going to have other challenges and hardships, but like you grow stronger, your skill set grows, your connections grow, your community grows. So you have
Hmm.
better ways to deal and handle. You have systems in place. In the beginning, you're just like thrown into the deep end and you're just like, don't drown,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
But then he once said, and you'll appreciate this one per our earlier conversation, he said that your dreams and goals are not unrealistic, your timeline is.
facts.
Mm-hmm.
That's why lists are really good. And then
Those are great.
evaluating lists and being able to give them a quantity, you quantify your time and what
Yeah.
you're trying to do. Is you're like, for me, and like I think, oh, I can do all this. Okay, well now let me assign a time. Okay, this is only going to take 15 minutes. This might take an hour. This might only take a minute.
Mm,
This might take 2 hours. Add it all up. Shoot, I got 16 hours worth of work to do today. Well, I guess I better strategize differently.
yeah.
Now you're being realistic because you have a
Right.
perspective on
But
what you were realistically able to do.
you also have to remember you're a human being
100%.
because I could write out a 16-hour day of all the things that I'm
And
gonna.
that's best case scenario though, most
Right.
likely.
Do I have the energy to handle that? Like, what's happening in my emotional world that
Yeah.
day?
That's why in my opinion, obviously money is a currency. We've talked about that, needing that to run a business. That's obviously a big part of it. But now we just talked about time being, more important than essentially money.
Yeah.
Energy is 100% more important than the other two. Because if you don't have the energy, doesn't matter how much time you have. If you don't have the time,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter how much money you have, right? That's the pyramid. And so trying to cultivate something you're excited about helps you have that energy then to push through it the times, I think, sometimes,
But at the
right?
same time, I will counterbalance and say that, like, I heard Alex Hormozy's quote about saying how, like, it's not your goals or dreams that are unrealistic, it's your timeline. But at the same time, I think sometimes we play the opposite where we're almost too safe.
100%.
And then you're like giving yourself, not to say that, like, let's say, for example, like Cafe, like it could still be a 10-year dream where I'm like, oh, I'll open in 10 years and then I'll like space it out. But then the timeline, oh my God, not sit here, but the timeline that I told you earlier, you're like, good luck, not unrealistic.
No, no, yeah,
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 it's not unrealistic. It's just very driven. And so, because
that's
I'm,
great.
I'm kind of at this point now where I'm like, let me just go for it as hard as I can with the caveat of knowing that if it takes more time, it takes more time. But let's see what results we can get when we just go for it. Because sometimes you just have to not give people too much space and time.
Deadlines help get things done.
Yeah.
Matter of fact.
People work usually quite well under pressure.
Expectations are hard. Expectation setting is hard because I think kind of what we're talking about is we have this idea that best case scenario is what we end up focusing on, which is
Yeah.
good. Yeah. We wanted to go right. Of
Yeah.
course, that's the way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But and then so it's such the balance of all of it, right? Like you got to set a goal that's lofty enough that you push, but also like you need realistic expectations because
Right.
otherwise you're upset when you don't get it done. But did you even have it? Was it even realistic to get it all done?
Right. So I think that's the good balance of like drive with faith, right? Like drive that I'm going to push these deadlines to make them happen. But then at the same time, faith that for whatever reason, if it doesn't work out in that time, it will happen when it's supposed to happen.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
It's the thing.
Okay, so what can my audience do to support you?
Um, if you're interested in our landscaping services, slflandscaping.com is where everything starts. You can see some of our
Mhm.
past work. There's a contact us form that you would fill out that goes to my intake in the office. So this is the best part about when you finally start getting a little bit better out. Yeah, I have people to process these requests. We can ask some preliminary questions, figure out whether you're a good fit for us. Because, like we talked, not everybody's a good fit, but the people that are a good fit for us, love to talk to you. So go to our website, fill out a contact us form. We'll be in touch to tell you how we work through the process. Um, but yeah, and also on the website you can see some of our past work and
Nice.
see kind of the wide range of stuff that we offer.
And I'll put all this in the bio as well so
Yeah,
people can
that'd be
link
great.
and find
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
This was so much
thank you.
fun.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for listening or watching. If you are not currently watching, the video is on Spotify and YouTube. And YouTube is primarily where I'm trying to grow this podcast. So if you're not already subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Hit that subscribe button. And please share this episode with a friend who you think would benefit. Hope you guys have a great week. Let's get it. Let's go.